They may be a bit of a misfit. They may be too worldly for the church, or too churchy for the world, according for some. So those artists tend to feel like, where do I belong? Where do I fit? They feel like misfits. And for us, we want to let them know this is a space for you. So in that, I have found myself having conversations with individuals for events, or with maybe assisting to book artists, or just different things. I'm trying to find space for them in the church, in certain bodies where maybe it's new for them. This type of art form, this type of presentation might be new, but it's absolutely what the people there need. But the leaders are still finding their way. We can say it like that. So being an advocate in that way, but also doing a lot of speaking directly to artists. I've spoken to a lot of artists who are feeling that way, feeling like misfits, wondering, what direction should I take when releasing my music? Should I quit gospel altogether because I want to sing love songs, or because I want to sing A, B, and C about life? And, just having deep discussions with them off the record, not interviews, not anything for business, but just because I don't want to see them go off on the wayside, just because they feel like the Christian audience might stifle, or may not welcome what they feel in their spirit to do.
Lordy, Lordy, we like to party, to party, to party. We like to party.
Hello and welcome back to the Personal Pizza Party Show. If this is our first time meeting, my name is Jada. I'm a creative Chicago native who is madly in love with pizza. JK, but I am RIP, really into pizza. Now today I am honestly, truly very excited to see you because this is a special episode. This is episode 10, the very last episode of the first season of this show. I want to thank you for clicking on this video. And I also want to thank you for not clicking through this video, even though you easily could, because now we got timestamps, which allows you to click through the sections of this video, so you can feel free to use those after the intro. I'd appreciate that. I'm very excited for today's guest. I purposely saved this interview for last because it just felt like the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do.
This person, in my opinion, is well known, well connected, and well respected in her sphere of influence, which is very warranted. If you've done any sort of business in the gospel / Christian contemporary / Christian hip hop media space, especially in Chicago, you might know her. But she has a background in several areas, from radio, film, television, production, marketing, promotions, journalism,
beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys,
and beyond. With that being said, I'm so excited to introduce entrepreneur, radio, TV, film producer, founder of ArtSoul Radio, and artist advocate, the one and only Tamara Young. Tamara Young is a true media professional, and she brings a lot of experience to the table. So with that being said, let me read you her resume real quick. Now, Tamara is an actual Chicago native who got her start in radio with the station's Clear Channel and 106.7 The Fish, then in TV with Total Living Network, Discovery Channel, and TLC. As a journalist, she's written for media platforms such as Blavity and the legendary Jet magazine. She's interviewed many entertainers from D1, Devon Franklin, Megan Good, to Ty Tribbett, Derek Minor, Propaganda, and many others. She's worked in a variety of roles in traditional and digital media. In 2014, she founded and launched the 24/7 online radio station and magazine platform known as ArtSoulRadio.com, covering music, lifestyle, faith, culture, and art. ArtSoul is home to many faith-based shows and podcasts like A Greater Story with Sam Collier and Eminem Live Radio. And she's done a lot more than that, but I can only scratch the surface for the sake of time. Today, we have a Chicago classic. If you're not from the Midwest, you may have no idea what this or these are. This is a type of hood delicacy, if you will. You can find these at your local Chicago Chicken Shack, now available at your local grocery store, which is what I have. This is called a pizza puff, not a Hot Pocket or a calzone. It's ground beef, sauce, and cheese in a tortilla fried. It's magically delicious.
They're magically delicious.
Chef's kiss. As a Chicago native, I loved having these growing up with mild sauce. If you know, you know. For the last time this season, this is your invitation. Go ahead, grab you a slice. This is episode 10 with Tamara Mori, JK Tamara Young. Enjoy.
So for anyone who's new to you and ArtSoul, and the many things that you've been a part of, like in media, marketing, film, and TV, can you talk about some of the things you've done and the people you've worked with?
So ArtSoul Radio is a 24/7 online radio station, online magazine. We cover music, faith, culture, art, TV, and film. And we're heavy on promoting independent artists right next to your favorite mainstream artists. We do a lot of things. COVID has changed a lot, obviously. So a lot of the events that we've done are now being transferred to being done online. But we've done a lot of events where I've gotten to work with a lot of amazing people. I think we'll get into that later. But outside of ArtSoul Radio, I have done a lot of work in journalism and TV and film and in marketing. I have had the opportunity to work with TLN, the Total Living Network. It's a Christian cable company. I've worked with TLC, Discovery Channel, Clear Channel when I worked in FM radio, which was a while ago. Some people don't know that I did work in FM radio before doing ArtSoul. And I did very little freelancing with Blavity and Jet Magazine, Ebony Jet Magazine. I did a lot of writing with them in their columns. So, yeah.
Is Jet still around?
I think they might be online only because the company sold. Thankfully, it did sell to a Black business owner, which is great because that is just, it was awesome even having the opportunity to write with them because of their history. Just the way that they covered everything from the civil rights movement back in the day, before all of our times. It was a historical magazine that I grew up with, that my parents even used to teach me a lot about our history. So it was great to have the opportunity to work with them in general. So I do think that they are online only. If not, I hope it comes back. I know the Ebony side absolutely is still moving forward. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, because I think about Jet, like just growing up, my uncle collected Jet magazines.
Yeah.
Just having them on the kitchen table and looking at them. And for me, like what sticks out the most with Jet is a lot of the music artists and how they were promoting Black artists and stuff like that. I also wanted you to tell us about some of the people you worked with, because you work with a lot of people, Tamara.
We've worked with a lot of people. It is hard to name names. I've gotten to work with a lot of people outside of ArtSoul as well, just the journalism and TV and film. In ArtSoul, oh boy, naming names. We've worked with a lot of artists in CHH. That was actually our first community that we targeted to market to first. I think that's one of the most diverse communities out there. Just not just in terms of look and age, but also just in their musical taste. So a lot of them seem to gravitate towards what we do because we did more than just hip hop. But yeah, that was our first community. Yeah, we've worked with just about a good number of people from Reach Records and interviewed a good number of them. Boy, I can't start to name names. It's been a long time. So I guess you're right. We've worked with a lot of people.
Yes, and it's okay. Yeah. If anybody wants to know, you can go to Tamara's website and look at all of the people that she's worked with, because it's a lot. And But I think those are just people that you've interviewed though, right?
Yeah. Like I said, outside of ArtSoul and within, we've interviewed Megan Good, Devon Franklin, KCJ, Propaganda, KB, Show Baraka, D1, Lecrae, Alex Faith, the Gungers, even Richard Lee Brooks. You know, when you think about actors and actresses, he was from Being Mary Jane. Um, Long list of people, independent and mainstream. It's been a cool ride. It's been cool.
Absolutely. So a little bit earlier, you talked about how Art Soul does a lot of events. And one of the events that I want to go back to for a bit, um,
Mm-hmm.
I believe was a really big deal at the time that Art Soul was a part of, that
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately was not there at the Chicago stop. I was
Yeah.
in my dorm room, like wishing I was there because for
Oh
some reason
no.
I just couldn't get there. Um,
Yeah.
but back in 2015, there was this thing called the Queens United Tour.
Yes.
And it had Jasmine Lachey, Hillary
Mm-hmm.
Chang, DJ KB. And
Yeah.
who am I missing? I'm missing one more person. V
Oh,
Rose.
really? Yes. Yep. And V Rose. Yeah, that event was actually put together by Jasmine Lachey. And we teamed up with her to bring it to Chicago. And we had a great church that we often team with in Chicago that had a great venue and a space, and opened it up. And it was great. It was great to see those women make it out there, supporting each other. It's always great to see women supporting each other and not running each other down. I love it. And giving each other space to shine. And Jasmine did such a great job creating that. And it was awesome to be a part of it and to bring it to Chicago. Mm-hmm.
What it was like coordinating that events, at least like on the Chicago end or however else you were involved.
Again, I was mainly involved in just the Chicago stop. So the coordination, just connecting with all of the artists, and we didn't do it alone. Again, we worked heavily with the church that was with us. It went pretty smoothly. And again, with Jasmine being the one that had the tour together, to go to different cities, this was just one stop that she was really trying to make happen. And it's great that we were able to. One thing that we were able to offer around that season was access to various venues at reasonable prices. So we were able to just find one for them that worked out really, really well. Yeah, but Jasmine had a lot already in place. She had her ladies ready. So it was just really a matter of providing the space and getting people there.
That's what's up. Um, what kind of an impact did you see from it? Like from the night that it was held there and anything that you may have seen on social media or when you guys debrief afterwards or anything like that that you can share?
Hmm. I think just the connection of the women, and I would almost dare to say that maybe some of the impact wasn't realized right away. I actually spoke with Jasmine not too long ago where we spoke briefly about that event, and she was just in awe at looking at the relationships that were built from it and seeing where God had taken each of them. There were ladies that we had present who had businesses as vendors. We made sure that we had female business owners there for vendors as well. And where everyone is today, Jasmine was mentioning, it's just watching how God has just enabled everyone to flourish. It was just beautiful to see. Um, but I do think that there was there were a lot of connections that were made that night.
I'm sorry, do you believe there could be a resurgence or of Queens United or a new version of that tour in the future?
I think there could be, absolutely. I think there are more opportunities to even make that happen after COVID. If we could do something online, that would be amazing. We should look into that. Actually, thank you for asking that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie though, personally, because I love concerts so much and I miss them. Like, and I was
Yeah.
thinking about that too. Like, oh, could we do like an online thing? I think it'll be fun, but I know that as like a
Yeah.
fan, like I would prefer to have something in person, because it's nothing like, a live event. But
Yeah.
yeah, given the circumstances, I know we have limitations.
We do, sadly. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it's interesting though that you mentioned well that Jasmine mentioned when you guys were talking how everybody from that tour looking at where they are now. And
Hmm.
you know that I helped out with Young Lady with Catalina
Yeah.
around that time. And I think about when Catalina Young Lady was doing the grants and the four finalists who were Wande, AI, Keelanda, I hope I'm not
Awesome.
forgetting anybody else, or the three of them, the three finalists, and looking at where they are now. And it's just
Yeah.
like, wow. And I actually had Keelanda on the show too. But we remember back in what was that 2018, and speaking of Catalina and Young Lady, the hashtag
Hmm.
CSA sexism conversation.
Yes.
And the one thing I wanted to ask you about regarding that was like your thoughts on how women are treated and undervalued specifically in CHH.
Hmm. Yeah, I think in answering that question, I would have to pull from not just my experience, but others who I've spoken to as well, just because we all seem to have very different experiences. During that time, I remember even mentioning that I think the majority of my experiences were okay, but I absolutely had some that were just weird at best. And I love that Catalina even started that conversation. I just want to say that first because it really shined a light on something that needed to be talked about. And
Mhm.
after that light was placed on that topic and conversation, I feel like more women were able to come to light because of it. More connections, more connecting, more women connecting happened. That is so important. Great things can come when we can come together well. And I remember just seeing, and you can still see it if you follow the hashtag on Twitter, that there were women just making new friendships, making new business partnerships after that. And there were owners of record labels who were suddenly reaching out to us and where they maybe had never done that before. I know there were some owners of labels reaching out to me, asking me, who do you think we should bring on or give an opportunity? What do you think about this person that we just, signed on? And I remember other ladies like Catalina um, saying the same thing. I think Reach maybe even reached out to her or Trish or both. I can't recall. Um, Trish Bell of ArtSoul,
Shout out to
Indulge.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
That's very close too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Art Soul, Indulge in Art Soul Radio, and we're good friends. I love what she does. Yeah. So, but I know that there were labels that were suddenly reaching out to women who were already doing great work in their own spaces, but they were able to finally connect with us, and we were able to do more in their spaces. So, I think Wande was signed not long after that, right?
Yep.
And
Mhm.
AI was signed not long after that. Um, things can't be fixed if they are hidden in the darkness. They just can't. Some things you have to talk about in order for healing to come. So I'm so glad that the conversation was started. It may have been difficult, it may have been hard to have, but it was so necessary. And because women have been dealing with a lot of things with men, even within CHH. And I'm just glad to see some of it changing. So
Yes, and I will say just one thing that I think about, I'm very glad to see people like AI Wande. Um, and I believe Lysphoria is also signed as well. It's somebody else who signed to one of the bigger labels as well. But I just hope that it doesn't stop there. Um,
Yeah.
you know, like yeah, like just don't like sign one, like
Right. Right.
please, have more than one person and stuff like that because I feel like so many um indie artists who are women are deserving of like that elevation and stuff like that. Um
Absolutely. There's
like
even I think I'm gonna say her name right. Tarcia. She owns Vivid Core Music. So that's a full-on record label owned by a woman. NCHH. I think that's beautiful. So things like that need to be individuals like her also need to be highlighted more. And with the way that so many women were being um, just kind of set aside, not listened to in the same way, not taken as seriously in some cases.
yeah.
It really, I'm just glad to see it change because that can stifle the growth of an industry. There are so many women that were behind organizations as well that were doing a lot of the work that was pushing it forward. Highlight them. DJ Waito did that with a lot of us, and I thought that was great. Um, yeah, I'm just glad to see it changing. But again, I do think that Catalina starting that conversation, that hard talk, was a big part of a catalyst that helped to move it forward a bit. So it was necessary.
Yeah, and I'm actually really grateful to have like kind of worked with her for that short time too because
Yeah.
it just really like illuminated for me because I don't even know if I was super aware of like the disparity in how much women in CHH are undervalued until working with Young Lady. One more thought that I have about this is when
Yeah.
it comes to like the touring and the events and whatnot, one thing that I've noticed a lot with CHH and really outside of CHH, even in the mainstream, a lot of the women who become elevated are very closely associated with men, well, with male artists. It's not always like that they're not when they do like kind of come up or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so with that being said, I'm just thinking like if there was to be another Queens United tour, I just kind of think that um the men should step up and get behind it and um like kind of use their platforms and their audiences
Yeah.
and basically put women in front of them.
Yeah.
Um and then even just when I go to like different concerts and stuff, there are a lot of women there who should be able to see like somebody, another woman on stage at the House of Blues on the Chicago stop.
Yeah. Yeah. And more than one. Like you said,
Yeah.
we don't have to have a token,
Yeah.
per city. There are so many. And when you made a great video for ArtSoul Radio, highlighting a plethora of female artists, some that I didn't even know. And I think you helped really bring light through what you did for us, Ben, to show just like how diverse they are in their sound and their giftings. There's so many, too many to just have tokens per city. So we don't need to do that.
Say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you make this a part of like your social media and in your bio and whatnot, is that you're an advocate for artists and creatives. That's, I don't know, that's just kind of like really cool. And you are, it shows in everything that you've done. But what are some ways apart from promoting on Art Soul, like that you've done,
Mhm.
with, like been an advocate? Because I know like it's a lot, so you can tell us some of them.
I would say maybe in business dealings with working with other organizations, just really doing my best to carve space for them. A couple of things that are really important to Art Soul Radio are, would be our diversity, and also being a bridge. So we want to be a bridge between CHH and gospel, Christian soul, just because our target of who we like to promote are artists who are not your status quo Sunday morning Christian artists. They may be a bit of a misfit. They may be too too worldly for the church or too churchy for the world, according for some. So those artists tend to feel like, where do I belong? Where do I fit? They feel like misfits. And for us, we want to let them know this is a space for you. So in that, I have found myself having conversations with individuals for events, or with maybe assisting to book artists, or just different things. I'm trying to find space for them in the church, in certain bodies where maybe it's new for them. This type of art form, this type of presentation might be new, but it's absolutely what the people there need. But the leaders are still finding their way. We can say it like that. So being an advocate in that way, but also doing a lot of speaking directly to artists. I've spoken to a lot of artists who are feeling that way, feeling like misfits, wondering, what direction should I take when releasing my music? Should I quit gospel altogether because I want to sing love songs, or because I want to sing A, B, and C about life? And, just having deep discussions with them off the record, not interviews, not anything for business, but just because I don't want to see them go off on the wayside, just because they feel like the Christian audience might stifle or may not welcome what they feel in their spirit to do, right? So I found myself speaking with them a lot, just to encourage them to know, like, if God put it in you, it's there for a reason. These things are godly things that you're talking about, so it's totally okay to still do it. You don't have to leave the faith. But I had a lot of conversations with them in one-on-one, in addition to just trying to make space for them. And then we've also started a creatives network called ArtSoul Creatives Network. And the whole purpose of that is to create a space where they can find community and provide them with resources and tools that'll help them thrive.
Have you ever experienced burnout?
Yes. 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 I can be a workaholic, and I have this thing in me where I don't like to not finish something that I started. Yeah, I've just had to learn the hard way, and from being reminded by people who love me well that, girl, you can finish even after you take a break. It's totally fine. Key advice that one of my closest friends told me was, no matter what, you're going to have to trust God while you rest. You're going to have to trust him while you work. So no matter which vein you find yourself in, you're going to have to trust him anyway. So you may as well just at some point learn how to chill out and get that rest in, so you can have energy and the right mind space to move forward well. But yes, I've experienced burnout.
Okay, and I don't know if you want to go a little bit more in depth, like what exactly does that look like, or has that looked like for you?
What has burnout looked like? Burnout has just looked like when you start a business, and I think most entrepreneurs know about this, especially those who don't have heavy financial capital, backing their business. You kind of have to go harder, and for a season, you're doing the majority of the work. That's not always. At some point, you have help. Praise the Lord. But at some point, when you're starting off, you are the we, and there was a season where I was the we. But even after finding help, as the owner, there's still so much to do. There's so much to manage. There's so much to plan out and continue to move forward in. It's easy to have burnout. It's easy to have burnout when you just don't learn how to stop, rest, and just be balanced. Balance is key. That's been one of my mentors told me a long time ago that I keep relearning. So yeah, burnout is dangerous. Burnout can make you sick. It can also make your business sick. So it's just better in the long run to just be balanced and trust God while you work and trust him while you rest.
That's
You'll
so
get you'll
good.
get there, you'll get there. Just keep going.
Yeah, and then one thing I kind of want to flip it in another direction. But really quick, would you say that you're like anywhere remotely similar to the work ethic of like Beyonce, where she's like, I won't sleep, I won't eat, I won't go to the bathroom, like that level of like, you like go in.
I think people who have worked with me would say that I've absolutely done those things because they've had to remind me to eat. And I have gotten so much better. Praise the Lord. I'm not looking to be that person.
So one thing I wanted to flip it to was this, you're a Black woman and like having your own business.
Mhm.
I would imagine in doing so much, like, would you say that there's like an added pressure as well doing business like with other people?
I don't really look at it as an added pressure. I would say in certain circumstances, I can admit that it is an added challenge,
Okay.
but it's not necessarily a pressure. You know, how can I say? Yeah, I'll just leave it there. I can
Okay.
see it as an added challenge. It depends on who you're working with and what spaces you're going into, and what it is you're trying to do. It's an added challenge, but challenges aren't impossible. They're just challenges. That's why I like to look at them. So, yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I will say that I feel like has come out of 2024. I feel like especially like in our country at large, it seems
Mhm.
like for, people who are willing to participate is a lot more kind of attention on Black businesses. I want to say and supporting them and trying to elevate them and things like that, I think is kind of one positive that's come out of 2020 in the
Yeah,
line of business.
absolutely. And that would absolutely speak to the challenges I'm talking about, like in terms of opportunities that you might have. And in some cases, like I mentioned, it may be a challenge that is possible to overcome, but it might take more work. It might mean that you have to show more, you have to do more, you have to do it longer. I've absolutely seen some other counterparts who have done similar work that are maybe a white owned business, a white male or a white female, and they can get access to resources and opportunities a lot quicker at times. And we could be doing more than they're doing and could be doing it longer. But I think at some point, I feel like it's a perspective thing after a while. If you focus on the negative, you'll never get there. You know what I mean? So if I keep focusing on what somebody else is doing or the opportunities that they're getting, despite all the work that we might be putting in, I'm wasting time. It's like I could be spending that time pushing through the challenge the way that we need to, whether we like what we have to do to get there or not. Still got to do the work, in order to make it happen. So perspective is key also. So focusing on the solution. And I'm like you, I'm really, really glad that the highlight has been on Black owned businesses, female owned businesses during this season. That has been super helpful.
I did want to ask, like, because I know obviously ArtSoul hasn't been able to have events and stuff. Like, how has ArtSoul been affected by the pandemic?
Obviously, financially affected. We had a lot of plans for new things that we were going to do. I had done a lot of restructuring and a lot of planning for new everything. We were going to do touring events in various cities. Um, all of that had to shift. But again, back to that great advice I was given a long time ago: trust God while you work, trust Him while you rest. Like, things might be down right now in terms of what we're able to do, but God is in control either way. And who am I doing this for? Why am I really doing this? For me, it really is for his glory. ArtSoul isn't the only thing that I do. So I really could drop it if I wanted to, right? But I don't because there's a purpose of why I'm doing it. There's a reason why I'm doing it, and there's a reason why I believe I'm supposed to. And as long as that's there, I'm going to keep going. And you just have to trust God when curveballs come through. And this year has been a curveball for everyone. But we'll all be back on track. We'll all be back on track soon. And we, like everyone else, we've had to learn how to pivot and just do things differently. We started doing online panel discussions, and we have a lot of those coming up. We started a series called the Uplift Conversation Series. The first one was about the Black man and everything that's been happening. We called it The Complexity of Our Identity, and it was great. It was so good. It was so good. They had so many great things to say. And we purposely, again, in wanting to be a bridge, pulled in artists from the gospel community, the worship community, and from the CHH community, and even individuals, EJ Gaines, who works behind the scenes at Motown Gospel and a CCM label as well. It was just awesome to hear what all of them had to say. It was D1, Jonathan McReynolds, KJ Scriven, Sho Baraka, and hosted by a Chicago pastor here. It was just awesome, all the things they had to say. And if we didn't have proper perspective to just say, you know, we got a curveball this year, but we can pivot. If we didn't have that perspective, we would have missed that. You know, we would have missed that talk. We would have missed all the gems that they had to share. And we have more of those coming, and I'm excited about it. So no in-person events, but there's still so much that we can do in terms of reaching people, encouraging them, promoting artists that are pointing to Christ, which is our heart. We can still move in purpose even though things look different.
And you just watched episode 10, the last episode of the very first season of this show. Make sure you follow and engage with Tamara Young on social media, and be sure to check out ArtSoul Radio. It's a wonderful platform. I'm pretty sure you will find something interesting, something that you like. All the info is in the description box, so check that out. I am so grateful for these first 10 episodes, for every guest that has come on, and for all of you for watching and supporting this show as a literal fetus. All of the love and support has truly meant the world to me and has made my year so much brighter. Thank you. I cannot wait to bring you season 2 of this show. I could tell you some things, but I'm gonna show you better than I can tell you. So get ready for a new year, a new season, new baby shark do. Prepared for this moment. So still gonna be content on this channel, so definitely look out for that. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment below, give it a like, and consider subscribing. Thank you once again for sharing a slice of life with me. I'll see you later.